It's the Roman Martinez Show. Before you get up and go, you better sit your butt down and turn up the sound. It's the Roman Martinez Show. Hi, welcome to the Roman Martinez Show. I'm Roman Martinez. Today on our show, we have the very talented and very wonderful actress to work with, very kind lady too, Miss Maddie Blumm. Maddie, I'm so pleased to have you here today.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you for coming all the way from New Jersey.
Yes.
Flew specifically just for the show today.
This was the only reason I'm here in McMinnville.
There you go. That's how we draw the actors in. So anyways, I'm very pleased to have you here today. And of course, we worked together on the film Flirting with the Devil, which was a true story by Mary Jane Strand about her encounter with Ted Bundy. What do you remember most about that film that we worked on 2 years ago?
I remember most working with Mary Jane.
Mm-hmm.
She's not only a wonderful person, but it was such a unique experience to be able to have someone guiding me through the part and giving me little insights into the character because I played Mary Jane.
Right.
And she gave me all these little bits along the way about how she felt and what it was like when he came into her house, when Ted Bundy came into her house, you know, little things she had in her house that she noticed on that night, which was so long ago, but it's so ingrained in her memory. So getting to pick her brain and then her also volunteering different information for me to use in that part was really influential, and it stuck with me.
Well, I remember at our Q&A at the end of our screening event in 21, I remember you said that you were kind of, was it like you were studying Mary Jane, you were picking up all the kind of quirks and idiosyncrasies of her as well? Would that be correct?
Absolutely. Even though the story takes place when she was in her early 20s, I could still see who Mary Jane was at her core throughout her whole life, this sweetness, this sort of optimistic person, maybe a little naive, but I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying she just wanted the world to be as sweet as she was. And I can relate to that as a person, and then I can also take that little bit of her and try to incorporate it into my portrayal of her.
Yeah, that's what I got. I remember in our audition, because that was the first time I'd ever done auditions like that where it was just over the computer. I'd taken in video submissions and then video conference style. I can't do video conference anymore because I just don't have the time to schedule it in. I was literally like, can you do this time and this time? And had maybe like 8 or 10 people auditioned that way. But I remember when you audition, I was like, this is definitely, I feel like I'm talking to Mary Jane, you know. I was telling Mary Jane, I was like, I'm so glad Maddie's coming for the call back.
Thank you. Well, it was funny. I was at the screening event. I was sitting behind a row of people that I think were her friends, and they recognized me because it's not like I looked that different, you know, in the 6 months from filming it to screening it. And they turned around and they actually said to my mom, who was sitting next to me, wow, she did a really great job portraying Mary Jane. She has all the little mannerisms of her, and you could tell they worked together on the project.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was a really nice compliment to hear, because it was important that I stayed true to who she was in the moments of the story.
Oh yeah. Well, and you two, you and John Reddy were great together. I mean, you had really great chemistry, I remember. So, yeah.
Yeah, John was great. He was really fun to work with, really knowledgeable, and it was so strange to get to know him off screen, behind the scenes, and then go into a scene with him where I felt like he was about to kill me. It was it was really fun and creepy and cool.
But he's such a kind guy too. That's the thing. He's like one of the kindest people I know now.
Seriously.
You know? I do have a question pertaining to that, kind of to jump off from that is, the first day that we filmed that, I remember we were in Sheridan in the morning. Then I think we had a little bit of lunchtime break. Then we did something in the evening. Then we did more stuff at the house. And then we had to wait until about 11 p.m., I think, because we had to get it dark because it was in the summer.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about shooting in the summer is that when you're filming in the summertime, you have to wait out the night if you're going to have any night scenes.
Right.
How was that night for you? Because I was a zombie at that point.
I think I counted that I was awake and doing stuff, doing a lot of stuff, not just laying around awake, but actively acting out a scene or doing whatever for like 20 hours or more. And
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about this on the drive here. I was so exhausted, for one, but also I drank so much caffeine that when the sun started to set, I remember actually like shaking with the amount of caffeine that I had in my system because I am not a night person. I wanted to make sure that I was awake for the shoot, that I was really alert and, you know, the best that I could be to film all those scenes in the laundromat. So I drank, I don't know, I guess it was like coffee or espresso or something. It was so much caffeine. I was just vibrating and I had to like eat a bunch of food to try to level out the caffeine levels in my body.
Oh gosh. You didn't seem like you were on caffeine. You seemed so natural too. Like.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't, but I'm glad that I acted that way.
Maybe it balanced out, you know, maybe you're getting really tired and then the caffeine just kind of.
Well, and you know, part of the scenes, like there was a lot of excitement in those scenes that we filmed that night because we were filming in the laundromat, and I was thinking that I just ran into the love of my life, and I can imagine that you might be a little jittery or excited or something because you're meeting who you think will be the love of your life.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. Well, I'm glad you were able to kind of pull from that and, you know, take that as inspiration to kind of get that momentum going.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
I remember, Maddie, that I just didn't know who I was after that point, because I remember it was we had a limited time in the space, and when you have that limited time, you don't really visualize it very well. You don't map it out in your head very well, and you know when you're directing, you're blocking. You know, you're figuring out the camera placement where the actors are going to stand. Yeah. And I was literally, I think I felt overconfident, like, oh, I'm always great with that. I could just, you know, do it on the fly. But that night I was just like, I had, I don't know how the hell we did it, honestly.
Right, and we had so much that night. We had so many actors on, because a lot of the other scenes, it was just John and me, or, you know, a few people, or just John or whoever was around, right? But that we had so many different actors, we had so many different scenes, big chunks of dialogue, and it was a really crucial part of the story because we really had to convey to the audience that I wasn't just some crazy person for letting this stranger into my house, that this was someone that I thought I could marry, and we had to do it in just a couple minutes. Yeah, convey that was what was happening. So that was a hard chunk of the script to film, and it was like midnight or 1 a.m. It was so late.
4 a.m. I think was when we wrapped.
Yeah,
4 a.m. Wow, it's burned in my memory. So what have you? I know you've done teaching as well. Have you returned to acting, or are you full-time teaching now? What's going on now? So
I am a full-time teacher. I teach preschool, and I love it a lot. And I use my acting skills as a teacher a lot. But I also have been doing some small projects on the side whenever I can. I still send out audition tapes and stuff. And I've been acting in music videos and little indie projects like that. And that's been really fun and rewarding. And it was just my first year of teaching, which is very overwhelming and exhausting. And I think it will continue to be a hard job that I still love. But I'm hoping that in the next year or so I can kind of get back into community theater, get back into more short films, keep doing that because I have a passion for acting and teaching.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, never let go, I feel, of the, well, I call it like the real world. The play world is the work, and then the real world is the play stuff we do. You know? It keeps us going. And how is that, we were talking earlier about Portland, about the film scene in Portland. So I'm assuming now that you're in New Jersey, maybe you're doing work over there. How's the New Jersey independent film scene over there?
That's a good question. Let me think about that for a minute.
And is it New Jersey or is it New
It's
York
New
as well?
Jersey.
Because New Jersey and New York are close together too.
Yeah, it's New Jersey, but there's a lot of influence from New York, and I go into New York often and audition for things when I can. I would say that there are a lot of similarities within those indie film companies because there's the same kind of heart and passion, which is at the core of hopefully every indie film company. They have a lot more heart, they have a lot more passion, they have a lot more artistic styles than I think what we see in Hollywood films. And there's room for both of them in this world, but something that's always drawn me to film is the heart, is that passion, that kind of drives along those long days, the 20-hour days, the 24-hour days of filming or whatever it is. That kind of heart, that love for the art is in the film scene in New Jersey, and it's in the film scene here in Oregon.
That's great. Yeah, there's a kind of what I've learned about working with actors is that on this level of filmmaking is that there's a very I think it's very intrinsically rewarding. It's not millionaire type stuff that we're doing.
Right.
But I think if you have like a good crew and a good cast and the project is interesting and weird, I think that gets you to 20 hours, I think.
I totally agree. It's the people that make it all worth the blood, sweat, and tears, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I remember that you did work. You were on a film on Amazon Prime. Can you say the title of that again, please?
Yep, that's Off the Beaten Path.
Off the Beaten Path. Okay.
And it's directed by Brad Burke.
Brad Burke, and was that a local film here in this area?
Yeah, Portland.
Okay.
Based in Portland.
So who did you play, and what was kind of the synopsis of that movie?
So that story was about a young woman who overcame some trauma through another form of trauma. Basically, two women go out in the woods to do a photo shoot, and they get stranded because their car breaks down. Prior to the photo shoot, my character underwent some trauma, and I won't give away what that was. But she uses this being stranded to reconnect with herself and face the emotional challenges that she had not been willing to face before. And through friendship and camaraderie between the two women, she's able to make peace with that trauma. And so it's a survival story, a survival in two meanings.
Is it a horror story too? Because I'm kind of making an assumption on what.
Not a horror
ensues.
story, no.
Okay, it's not The Descent. It's not like creatures like come out from somewhere.
No.
Okay. Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Now, that was a feature-length film, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm assuming, like from your end, the feature-length film versus like a short film, what would be the main differences on that? From the maker's perspective.
So from the acting perspective, I personally don't feel a very big difference between the short films and the feature-length films. I put the same preparation into it. Obviously there are things like it takes more time to memorize lines for a longer movie, but just in terms of preparation, it's the same kind of stuff that I'm crafting, background and core memories and who I am in that character. I'm crafting that for short films, I'm crafting that for feature-length films. The cool thing about feature-length films is the time that you get to develop relationships with all of the people on that set. There is something really special and rewarding about that. I spent every weekend in my senior year of high school in Portland or somewhere in that area, hanging out with these new best friends, and I just never wanted to go back to school. I just wanted to be with those people all the time. You make that really strong connection with them.
Oh yeah, I know the feeling. I kind of miss school myself. I graduated a few years ago, and I don't know, you just miss the mood of everything, the environment. Well, I wanted to get that question out to you because shortly after we did Flirting with the Devil, I had the opportunity to do a feature film. I got to direct a feature film. And knowing the difference between that, Flirting with the Devil was like cake. Because it's like a mountain. It literally is like a mountain. And you get to the point where you're just like, okay, we just got to knock scenes out. Get this scene out. I don't care. Just get it out. Get it filmed. One take everything. Now go on to the next scene.
Yeah. What was the period of time that you were filming over for the feature-length film?
Primarily, we started doing production meetings in August, which was like a month after Flirting wrapped. And then we started shooting about October. The bulk of it was October, November, December, a little bit of January. Cold, and I never want to make a film in the winter again.
I have some cold experiences too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, in Off the Beaten Path, we had some days where we were filming in the water, which was in the fall, which, okay, I know it's not like the winter in the Northeast or something, but it was really freaking cold.
Chilly, yeah. Chilly.
And we were in there for a couple hours to film a scene, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was the coldest that I could ever get, but no. When I was in college, I was working on a thesis film, which is how I met my boyfriend, was on this thesis film I did called Seeing You Again. And the first day of filming, I think it was around 30 degrees. I remember it snowed, and I remember that it was very windy, and my outfit for my character was skinny jeans, Converse, a tank top, and a jean jacket, and I had a beanie. I have never been so cold as I was that day. I seriously lost feeling in my feet. It felt like I was walking. It just didn't feel like there was anything there when I was walking. It was so cold.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's miserable.
It's rough, right?
Well, I could say at least hand it to the actors, because the director or crew can just put on whatever and be behind the camera and look like the kid from Christmas Story, you know.
Right.
But the actors have to be in their wardrobe, and we had robes everywhere and quilts and covers and everything for the actors when they had to be in there. So we tried to take care of them as best we could.
Good.
Yeah. So we were talking also about community theater earlier. I personally take a lot of, I think, my production now, realizing it, from community theater, because I think there's just that passion there. They don't get paid for what they do. They get the audience, but they don't get the money. And there's a lot of reward, I think, in that, that getting that recognition. And but the thing I love about it is that family feeling to it. And I try to convey that in the projects I do. Yeah. So do you feel that there's a big similarity in that regard with theater and film?
Absolutely, especially with the indie film scene here in Oregon. Just the word you used is family, and I think that's a perfect way to describe it, because you're putting your trust in everyone around you, everyone on the project, because you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position, on stage or on camera. It can be really, from the actor side, it can be really a really scary thing. And having that kind of support, that kind of love and community and family around you, it is so rewarding and heartwarming. Gives you a place to belong. I think that's what kind of gives me my energy in my day and something to look forward to is when I'm done with customer service, I get to have fun with all my friends. Absolutely.
Do you draw from any particular actors or anything in your work? Have you growing up, were there any actors that inspired you to get into film work?
So there were actors that inspired me, but I'll tell you that I don't necessarily draw from any actor in my work, because when I do try to do that, I end up comparing myself to them, which isn't really helpful in the craft or the art, because I'm my own person and I'm my own artist, and I can draw from my own experiences and my own life to inform how I portray a character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, because I remember years ago I did a beginner actor class in college, beginning acting class in college, and I remember that the instructor, she almost really made an impression on me that don't watch the movie before you're going to do your scene. Don't see Streetcar Named Desire because you'll be doing a Marlon Brando impression and it'll become like Saturday Night Live, for your scene. Rather just take it naturally, organically, use your own intuition for that.
Because what acting is playing yourself under an imaginary set of circumstances, right? So you don't want to be Marlon Brando. You don't want to be Jennifer Lawrence, who I loved when I was in middle school. You don't want to be playing those people. You want to be playing yourself. And that's going to be the most interesting thing for an audience to watch, because they don't want to see you do an impression unless they're watching Saturday Night Live, right? They want to see, what is Roman doing under these circumstances? What is Maddie doing under these circumstances? That's a more interesting thing to watch than an impression.
Yeah. Well, I think independent film, again, kind of a little pre-interview, we're talking about how, there's a certain sense of, I guess you get the feeling of like been there, done that with a lot of the films today in Hollywood industry level films. And would you agree on the fact that I've always felt I love independent films because you've never seen these people before, and as much as I love Jeff Goldblum, it's Jeff Goldblum playing Jeff Goldblum. So I think there's that sense of believability a little bit more. Would you agree on that?
Absolutely. That's a really good point, because you are seeing a new person. So what's that new person doing in these circumstances, right? And they also tend to be really original stories. And I'm not saying that there aren't original stories in Hollywood too, but you get access to so many more creative minds when you get past the Hollywood stuff and see those independent films, those films with a lot of heart and a lot of passion.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was wondering, since we're going to be shooting a little bit later today, what are your questions about that? I'd like to bring that into the interview, if we may.
About what we're filming later?
Yeah.
My questions are, what am I going to look like?
Okay.
How am I going to come across to the audience? Scary, funny?
Playful.
Okay.
Devious.
Okay.
Yeah, creepy. It's going to be really intriguing. I wanted you in this part because you're such a nice person, just a sweet person, and that's what I've known you as, especially on Flirting with the Devil as your character. So I want to see if she can be an antagonist. I wonder if she can be bad and evil or not necessarily. They're not evil, but.
So what I'm going to think about is what circumstances would put me into this position where Maddie is devious or evil or vengeful. You're
fighting a bully.
Right.
You've thought about this bully for a long time. So
I can believe that. Maddie can believe that she could fight a bully. I haven't personally, but I could believe that I could do that.
Okay.
Okay. That can be my hook to make myself okay with being so violent, right?
Yeah, because you have to have some kind of inspiration, I feel like, and so that is part of the story. Do you have a name for your character that you want? Because you get to select your name.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. I'm going to have to think about it.
Okay.
I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll put it in the credits later.
Okay.
But you're going to be wearing like a striped top and overalls and a little hat, little bowler hat. So it's going to be playful looking. Yeah.
Very cool.
How are we doing on time, Kyle?
We're 24 minutes.
24 minutes. Okay. That's going to be in the edit too. I like it. It's organic. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Maddie?
Yes. I have questions for you.
Okay.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Shoot, please.
Do you prefer to film short films or feature-length films? Because I know you said that feature-length films are harder, but is it more rewarding for you?
That's a great question. It's not so much difference on choose. I just love to work. I love to be a part of it. I love to direct and produce. I think I put as much into, I think, both. So, yeah, I don't think I have a preference on it. I don't think I have I mean, shorts are a lot easier, but features are also, you get to spend more time with everybody, with the cast and the crew.
Yeah.
So.
Same.
Yeah, I think that.
Similar,
Yeah, if I could
experience,
do
right?
feature films, I think, I probably would do it more. Yeah.
And I have another question for
Yeah.
you. What, and let me think about how to phrase this.
Uh-huh.
What makes you feel like you've been successful with a film?
Well, I think like Flirting with the Devil, I think that's a great example. I felt like I almost wanted to reach out to people and get like blurbs from them, like at the back of a book. There were so many people that like said how much their experience, how rewarding it was, and I don't think I had gotten that much prior to Flirting with the Devil. Just everybody was so grateful and enjoyed it, being on it. So I think that definitely was what measures the success, is just the people's experience on it and how positive it is for them, and how good they're feeling on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how I would measure success. Yeah.
That totally makes sense to me. I had a professor who said that, and he was a theater professor, so it was all about the stage and the live audience, and he said that a show was successful if the audience left feeling changed in some way. And I'm not saying that I have done that, or even that I will do that I will change someone with my my acting. But after we had the screening for Flirting with the Devil, I went up to Mary Jane Strand and I said, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this project and for allowing me to portray you. And she said, thank you for believing me. And to me, when she said that, that was the most rewarding feeling I've ever experienced as an actor. Because I think that a lot of people didn't believe her experience.
Yeah.
And that's the case for a lot of women who go through a trauma like that. And so to validate her experience and be able to tell her story, that was success for me.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, it was great working with Mary Jane, and I just know collaborating with her, she trusted me to work on the script with her. I gave her that option. I'm like, do you want to go with the script? Do you want me to help with it? And then she was so. She really, I could just see how entranced she was by, like, we did the rehearsal for it, and you and John, perfect example, you and John were doing a scene together, and she was reading, I think she was reading one of the parts. She had the script and she was supposed to like follow the lines, and you two were in the moment, and then I was just kind of sitting there like, Mary Jane? She's like, oh, sorry.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was supposed to be like a third person who wasn't on set that day, right?
Yeah.
She was like filling in lines for us or something, right?
And she was like this, like.
I remember that. That was a good feeling. Yeah, she was so much fun to work with.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, and I asked her, she would ask me times, she said, like, Roman, should I be there? And I'm like, yeah, you're the co-writer and the producer. You got to be there like every time, So, I mean, if she couldn't be there, I understood. But yeah, I wanted her to get the full experience on that. Yeah. But anyways, Maddie, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I feel honored and privileged to have you on the show, to get you back in here, get to interview you. This is a community, this independent film that we have here in the Northwest area, and I think that it's growing, and I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces, and for me it's like Hollywood. It's like little Hollywood, because hey, there's that person, and there's Maddie and that, and
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'd do anything to support you and our film community here. It's changed my life in so many ways for the better, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you so much. And so for our viewers out there, Flirting with the Devil is available on RomanEmpireEntertainment.com. You can either purchase it, I think it's like for $4.99, and then you can watch it for $1, stream it. Also, we have Off the Beaten Path on Amazon Prime. Okay, it's still on Amazon Prime with Maddie Blumm as a featured star in the film. Do you have any other things you'd like to promote?
Sure. Seeing You Again, which is directed by Brandon Ciavice, is on YouTube. That was the thesis film I worked on a couple years ago.
Okay, nice, nice. It's on YouTube.
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right, awesome. So look that up and you'll see Maddie on there as well. Thank you everybody for watching the show. Thank you, Maddie, and we'll see you next time.